Okay, so good morning, Dr. Wendy Yee. Thank you so much for taking time to join SOC Education Interview Series. I'm sure that the Italian educators will be very happy to watch your interview.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure to share this with all the Italian educators. It's really, really great to be having this session with you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So first of all, you are a senior lecturer and deputy head at the University of Malaysia. Is that right?
That's right.
How is your experience at the University of Malaysia?
It's interesting because it is a multi-ethnic environment.
Okay.
And I learned a lot because being in a management position, not only I need to serve as an educator, I also need to look at the management perspective of running a department. So it's very interesting.
Interesting. And also you have a PhD in social sciences.
That's right.
How is connected to your interest in education? What kind of research interest? I can see here social issues related to youth, ethnic relations, and culture and identity.
That's right. So basically, my PhD is actually a PhD in youth studies in the field of social sciences. And in my PhD thesis, I actually focus on interethnic relations among the youth. So when we talk about interethnic relations, automatically we also talk about intercultural, issues like that. So that's how it's all being interconnected.
Okay. And I guess now you are a visiting professor in SOC University.
That's right. That's right.
So why you decided to visit SOC University and do some research here?
Well, the first objective of coming to SOC University is actually to know and to understand what is the theory of value creation.
Okay.
Yeah, because I felt that this theory of value creation, which is the philosophy for SOC education, it can be applied to my field of expertise like interactive relations and youth development.
Sure.
So I'm trying to find out how this theory of value creation can actually be applied in my field of studies. So that's why I'm here to understand more about the theory of value creation and at the same time the spirit of SOC education.
Sure. And I can see that you have a list of longer publications. That means that you are doing great and you're doing a fantastic research. So I was really pleased to read your long list of publications, but I was really interested in a couple of them actually. Interethnic tolerance and cross-cultural communication.
That's right.
Could you share with the Italian educators a little bit more about cross-cultural communication and interethnic tolerance?
Yeah, so basically, as we all know, Malaysia is a multi-ethnic society. So each ethnic group will have their own languages, their own cultural. So what is interesting in Malaysia is basically all Malaysians, we speak at least 3 different languages.
Yes.
So, and in order for us to be able to interact, the languages that we learned, the 3 basic languages that we learned, really help a lot. And that helped us to bring in a lot of understanding between the different ethnic, different culture, because through the language we could understand each other better, and that helps to improve tolerance among the different ethnic groups.
Because in Malaysia you do speak English, Malay, and Chinese,
and that is basically for the Chinese. But if it's the Indians, they will usually speak Malay, English, and Tamil.
Okay, so there is this interaction.
That's right. So language is really important for this multi-ethnic interaction and understanding.
Sure. And how, let's say, did you frame this kind of precious diversity that exists in Malaysia in your research? If you have to, let's say, refer to 2-3 keywords related to your research or to one important concept that you relate to your research on publications, for example, on tolerance, interethnic tolerance, and cross-cultural communication?
I would say understanding.
Understanding.
Right, because when you speak a different language or you speak the language of the different ethnic group, you understand where the culture comes from and why people behave or say things in certain ways or behave in certain ways. Because understanding the language is actually understanding the culture, and understanding the culture is actually understanding that ethnic group. So I think it all leads to understanding, and that will bring us to a sustainable coexistence. So I think that's very important.
Definitely. Right. No, I was asking this question because in Europe we have so many cultures and different languages, so it was interesting to hear from you, based on your publication and research, how different languages and different cultures can in a way interact in the same country.
That's right.
And also I can read here interaction in multilingual Malaysia. That's probably what you were briefly explaining just now.
Yeah.
So how about multilingual? What kind of findings, what kind of points you want to share, if any, of course?
Well, I think learning a second language besides our own mother tongue, our own original language, is very important.
Okay.
Yeah, that's very important.
For example?
For like I mentioned earlier, it's actually for deeper understanding. Yeah, because sometimes when we speak a different language, you know, certain words may mean different things to you.
Yes.
You know, and if you do not understand the culture of that language, you will find that it may be very disturbing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, for example, I say things like, nah, you're stupid, you know. But maybe in my culture, when I say, nah, you're stupid, it doesn't mean that you're really stupid. You know what I mean?
Sure,
but perhaps in your culture, that word means very rude, you know. So when I understand that, oh, I shouldn't say that to you because we are from different culture, you may perceive it differently. So by understanding the language and that culture, it will help to build better understanding and better relationships.
So this strong, let's say, correlation between language and culture is what, in a way, you are deepening through your research. Would you like to share a little bit about your research in general? I mean, feel free to talk about something that is very interesting to you in terms of being here in Soka University. And in a way, now we will discuss a little bit about Soka education and humanistic education, but why what is your motivation? Why you're here as a visiting professor? What kind of points did you find that are in a way related to Soka education?
Right. Like I mentioned earlier, the reason I'm here is the biggest motivation is because I wanted to learn more about the theory of value creation. Because back in my country, I'm also in the position to support the government in coming up with a lot of educational policies, ethnic national unity policies. So I find that some of my ability in supporting these movements or these activities are limited because I thought I do not have enough exposure or do not have enough information or knowledge to do that. So in order for me to better contribute to my country, so therefore I thought I should come here to study more, to deepen my knowledge, especially focusing on the theory of value creation, so that I could actually contribute back to national unity and national development for my country. So that's actually the biggest motivation.
And now a straightforward question. What is Soka education to you?
Well, to be honest, when I first came, I didn't have much.
If you first came to Soka University?
Yeah, when I first came to Soka University, that was in January. I didn't actually have a very deep understanding about Soka education. So, but through my stay here for a couple of months, I've been talking to a few people and reading up some books, and I find that Soka education is actually very interesting because it is actually about enabling the students to be happy. Yeah, and it basically focuses on the humanity of each student, and it also focuses on enabling the students to create positive values for themselves and also for the society. So I think that is very, very important because when students are able to create values for themselves and for others, they are actually bringing happiness to their lives and the lives of others. So I think that is one of the very important key elements that I managed to gather from my research here. Yeah.
Great. And how would you, in a way, link, for example, your academic background, your research, let's say, your ongoing publications to your experience in Soka University? Let's say I'm asking you to share with the Italian educators a main experience, something that you got from being here, and in a way something that you will bring back to Malaysia once you will be back in your home country.
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting question. In fact, last week I submitted a chapter for a book for the Ministry of National Unity in my country, and that chapter that I wrote about is actually between the spirit of Soka education and interethnic relations. Yeah, so a little bit what I did was The paper is basically about how do we learn better interethnic relations.
Sure.
Yeah, and I actually use the 3 very important key points that the founder of Soka University, President Ikeda, he used the 3 points for global citizen. So he said, first of all, being a global citizen, we need to know the interconnectedness of all life.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, and then the second point is having the courage not to deny differences.
That's right.
And the third point is to have the ability to empathize with other people, the compassion to be able to empathize.
That's right.
So I actually uses these 3 key principles to apply into the study of interethnic relations.
Interesting.
Yeah. So meaning, when we want to deepen our understanding between the different ethnic groups, we must first be able to feel and to see that we are actually connected.
That's right.
Though superficially we may be different, you look different, I look different, but there is this bond that all lives are interconnected. So that was the first principle that I bring it to discuss about how we should go about learning interethnic relations.
Sure.
And I also talk about the courage not to deny differences, because a lot of violence and conflict we see in the world today is actually the result of denying differences.
Denying differences,
we don't have the courage to accept differences.
Sure.
So this is one of the greatest cause for conflict around the world today. So we must have the courage to accept differences, because differences is everywhere and it is part of life. So that's the reality that we need to have the courage to accept. And the third point that I bring in to discuss, that is the feeling of compassion and empathy.
Compassion.
Yeah. So because a lot of times in this world today, when we talk about interethnic relations, we just can't feel for the other person, the suffering from the other person, because we simply say that you are a different ethnic group, so it's impossible for me to feel how you're feeling. So we lack that kind of compassion, because in today's world, people are so absorbed in technology, absorbed with their computer and their handphones, and they forgot about that compassion for other humanity. So this is the part also I actually bring to discuss in that paper. So I think this is one of the greatest output that I managed to produce in this couple of months. Related to my study and to my research here in Soka University.
So this chapter in this book will be discussed with the part of the government in Malaysia. Is that right?
Yes, it will be published in one of the seminar. During one of the seminar, it will be published as a book, and it will be launched by the Ministry of National Unity of Malaysia.
Great. So in a way that on large scale will contribute to, let's say, the educational process in Malaysia in a way or another.
Definitely.
That's great. Okay, that's fantastic. I think you shared a lot, and I'm sure the Italian educators will be really happy to listen to your experience. Let's bring back a little bit the focus on in classroom interactions. I guess you had some opportunities to teach as well in your long and fantastic career, academic career. What would you like to share? Let's say in general, Soka education and teaching in the classroom. What kind of experiences, or what kind of experience, if one, you feel you want to share with the Italian educators? In Europe, as you know, at the moment we don't have Soka education institutions, but we are working hard. So it would be interesting, I believe, for Italian educators to hear from you how you apply Soka education into your teachings.
Right. I think one of the very important criteria to be applied in the classroom, like you mentioned, is the educator ourselves. Being an educator ourselves, we need to believe in the potential of each and every student in the classroom. I'm sure in the classroom, say the classroom of 30 students, sometimes we'll find that some students are very active, very participative, but there will be a couple who is just very passive, who is, couldn't be bothered, but precisely these are the students that we need to put extra attention to. We need to focus on these students.
So say students with some difficulties, could be academic, could be like in terms of personality.
Right.
So you're saying that you tried to focus on
That's
students, let's say, with some difficulties.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's very important.
Okay. And do you have a specific experience or like?
Yeah, I think I can recall one of the experience.
Okay, that would be great.
There were a couple of years ago, I was teaching a class, a special class of students who's very weak in English.
Okay.
So my job.
English is a second language.
Yes, second language. So my job is actually to improve the ability to speak English. But mind you, this group of students, they're actually graduating students. They are about to go out to work, but they still couldn't speak simple English. Being their main language, Malay. Malay, that's right. Okay. Yeah. So we have to prepare them for the employment world, so they need to learn how to speak English. So in this special class, I've got this particular boy. He always comes late to class, and I can still remember on the first day he came, he was so late that I asked him, why were you late for class? He looked at me, he stared at me, and he couldn't find the answer. But he spoke in Malay later. He said, oh, because I couldn't find the classroom, but he spoke in Malay. So, but he took about a couple of minutes. I know he was trying to say it in English, you know, put the effort, but he still couldn't find the word. Say, I couldn't find the classroom. So he said in Malay at the end of the day. So he was really, really weak. So what happened was I put special attention to this little boy. And then I took every opportunity I have in between classes. I spoke to him. I asked him about. You try to build a relationship. That's right. Okay. Yeah, I spoke to him. I tried to build the relationship. I asked him about his family. I asked him about his dreams. You know, I spoke to him very often. I told him, I believe you. You can do it. Just do your best. So after he graduated, and there's once I met him in a restaurant. So I was surprised because he is actually working in a chain restaurant as a branch manager. And he said, I'm giving training to other clients, his employees. He said, you know, team, let's say. And I was surprised. Because he said, you know, Dr. Wendy, who I am today is because during those days in class, you did not neglect me, you trusted me, you believed me, and you spent time with me. You built that kind of relationship with me, and because of your trust in me, I believe in myself. And then today he is the branch manager of one of the chain restaurants. Fantastic. Yeah, and every time when I visit that restaurant, you say, I'll treat you. He opens the door for you. He said he will treat me. I said, no, thank you, no, thank you. But he said he's really grateful. So for me, I think as an educator, this is one of my greatest joy, that I'm able to change a person's life. You know, so no matter how weak he was, I did not give up on him. I believe that his potential, you know, and that belief really transformed him. So to me, this is something which is transformative power of relationship between teacher and student. That's right. And the trust we have in them. In the students. In the students, yes. Fantastic. Thank you so much. I'm sure that this is really great experience. And this ties in a way to my last question. I always ask at the end of the interviews, let's say, how would you describe soccer education by, like, let's say, trying three words? Wow, this is tough. This is very tough. Of course, you can develop on that. But for example, you were talking about trust. That's right. Would you include that in your 3 keywords? Yeah, I would say 3 keywords, right? Possibly. Well, I would say like trust. Trust is very important. Enabling. We must enable the students and empower the students. So if you want me to use 3 words, I would say trust, enabling, and empowering. Empowering. That's right. Great. Well, fantastic. I'm sure that the Italian educators will be very happy to watch this interview. It was really full of details and interesting experiences. Thank you for having me. It's amazing. Would you like to share a short message with the Italian educators before we conclude the interview? Well, yes, I think for the sake of humanity, we really need to do our best for education. Because building education is building the future. Thank you very much. Thank you. To trust, enabling, and empowerment. That's right. Okay. So thank you so much, Dr. Wendy. It was really
great to have the opportunity to have this interview with you.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure. It's my great opportunity to be able to share this with all the Italian educators. It's really my great pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.